Let's be honest, winning the lottery, it's the ultimate fantasy, right? But what if that incredible dream of instant, unimaginable wealth is actually a ticket to a complete nightmare? We're about to dive into the truly terrifying pattern of lottery winners who were absolutely destroyed by their good fortune.
And look, this isn't some hypothetical scenario. That is a direct quote from a man who won $31 million. He said that shortly before his life totally unraveled. And the chilling part? He's not alone. Not by a long shot.
For Billy Bob Harrell Jr., the fall was just unbelievably fast. I mean, think about it. From a multimillionaire to taking his own life in just 20 months. This wasn't some slow decline, it was a catastrophic, high-speed collapse. Now, it's easy to look at that and just dismiss it, right? To say, okay, that's just one tragic story, a sad case of one person who just couldn't handle it. But what if it's not a one-off? What if this is a predictable, terrifying pattern? Okay, let's take Jack Whitaker. He won one of the biggest Powerball jackpots in history, $314 million. That's the kind of money that's supposed to solve every single problem you could ever imagine, and then some. But for Whitaker, that money brought nothing but absolute pain. His family was shattered by death and divorce, and within just a few years, every single dollar was gone, vanished. He later told reporters that he wished he'd just torn up the ticket. And then you have Abraham Shakespeare, who won $40 million. For him, the win didn't just attract problems. No, it attracted predators. It put a target on his back. First, a coworker sued him, claiming he'd actually stolen the ticket. Then he was just swarmed by people begging for money. And eventually, a woman who got close to him, pretending to be a financial advisor, murdered him for what was left and buried his body in her backyard under concrete. And this pattern isn't new, not at all. You can go all the way back to one of the earliest cautionary tales, William Budd Post. He won over $16 million in the Pennsylvania lottery way back when. His win set off an immediate and violent chain reaction. A former girlfriend successfully sued him for a third of the entire prize. And this is just terrifying. His own brother hired a hitman to murder him and his wife for the inheritance. Within a single year, he was $1 million in debt. He eventually died completely and utterly broke. And listen, these aren't just a few sad stories I cherry-picked. There is a clear statistical pattern here. Studies show a huge percentage of lottery winners file for bankruptcy within just 3 to 5 years. And we're talking at a rate that's much higher than for the general population. The dream, time and time again, ends in financial ruin. So this just forces you to ask the big question. What's the real culprit? Is the money itself toxic? Is it cursed? Or does it just shine a giant spotlight on something that's already happening inside our own minds? It turns out the answer is psychological. You know, researchers actually have a name for this, sudden wealth syndrome. And it's a recognized condition. The shock of getting so much money so incredibly fast, it basically short-circuits the brain. It triggers these intense feelings of isolation, guilt, and paranoia, which all too often leads people to self-destruct. Think about it. Your brain isn't built for a sudden jackpot. It's wired for gradual progress. When you win, it triggers this massive flood of dopamine. That's the pleasure chemical. But this isn't a trickle, it's a tsunami. And it basically fries the parts of your brain that are in charge of long-term planning and impulse control. Your mind just panics. It feels dangerously out of its comfort zone. And so, it begins to self-sabotage. It starts making reckless decisions to burn through the cash, almost subconsciously trying to get back to a familiar state, even if that state was poverty. Now get this. A study of Florida lottery winners found something absolutely stunning. People who won between $50,000 and $150,000 were actually more likely to go bankrupt than those who won smaller amounts, like under 10 grand. This proves it. It's not about the size of the prize, it's about the psychological shock of getting a life-changing amount of money that you're just not prepared for. So, is everybody doomed? Is this lottery curse just unbreakable? Absolutely not. And the exceptions to the rule? Well, they're just as important as the tragedies. Meet Brad Duke. He won a $220 million Powerball jackpot. Now, by all accounts, he should have been the next victim in this long line of stories. But he wasn't. Duke did something completely different. He didn't quit his job. He kept quiet about it. And instead of going on some wild spending spree, he spent months assembling a team of financial and legal experts to create a serious, long-term plan. His goal wasn't just to spend money, it was to grow it to $1 billion.
And this reveals the fundamental difference. For all those tragic stories we talked about, winning the lottery was the finish line. It was the end of the story. For the survivors, like Brad Duke, it was the starting line. It was day one of a new full-time job, managing that wealth.
So here's the crucial point. The curse was never about the money itself. It was always about a mismatch. It's about receiving a massive resource before your mindset, your discipline, and your emotional maturity are ready to manage it.
And that leaves us with a final and very personal question. It really shifts the whole fantasy, doesn't it? It's not about dreaming of what you'd buy. It's about asking yourself, have you built the character, the knowledge, and the discipline to handle that dream if it ever actually came true?